There's a lot of people that reach out to me wanting to teach them Hercules, which I will do one-on-one. But a lot of people were just saw the game where I popped off and started off 9-0 for Get Paper Scissors in the Spring Classic League tourney in 2019 in the middle of May, and people just wanted to say, hey, like, how did this build work, or how do your builds work against different gods? How do you land its ability so cleanly? And there's just a lot of things to go into it. So first, I will build the build I had, which will revolve around Talari Shoes, Pestilence, Breastplate of Valor, Void Shield. I went Spirit Mantle or Spirit Magi's, and then I sold the boots for Mantle. The mistake with this build is this Magi's was worthless. Agni stuns, so back to a lot of things that could just easily take away this Magi. So in a perfect world, that would have been only Hunter's Guard, but I would have had the 40% CCR. I still have 40% CDR, 20 physical protection reduction, which is plenty enough for a high ability damage warrior like Hercules is. The plenty of magical and physical procs, 293 and 288 of each, basically 300 of each. Plus, this is huge thing I'm about to tell you. The health is 2720. The reason this is a big deal is because of chin size. Chin size in the old days only worked as 4% across any target at any point in time. They changed this in Season 5 to where it's 3 to 5% depending on the health of the target. Once they're over 2,000 health, they start taking like 0.1% per 100 health or something like that. Don't take me for quotes on that. But as you can see, the effect reaches a maximum of 5% at target's maximum health of 2750. They don't even get to do the full 5% passive to me because I didn't build 30 health. It's a pretty big deal. So instead of 5%, they're doing 4.8% or whatever the math would come out to be. So 4.8% of my health. I will calculate that now on my phone because I forgot the numbers already. Okay, so that would do 130.5. So it would do 130, 131, 130, 131 in that rotating fashion. So, but the thing is, it's physical damage, not true damage. So I'm going to mitigate this with my 293 physical protections. So this is generically what I like to end with. I could sell this for Masamune, and then I would only have the 20 CDR. I'd have to make sure I get blue buff to at least have 30, which is okay for me. I don't think it's a big deal to absolutely have 40 all the time. Especially when you press K and you see that his ultimate's on 56-second cooldown. His one of those two is 11.2 seconds each and 13.6 here. So that's only with 20% CDR. Let me go do a blue buff real quick so we can see the overall numbers. And that's how you do a blue buff. Alright, so because I'm a Masamune, I did get the kin size passive will affect me now because I did build 100 more health than I originally had. So keep that in mind if you really, really care about that. But now with the 30% cooldown, get my abilities 1.4 seconds faster. than before, so 9.8 instead of 11.2 for these two. 49 seconds instead of 56 seconds, I think it was. And then I didn't even look at this one, but I use this not. I just try to use it before a fight, basically, or if I need to sustain back up after we have fought. So like I said, this is the generic build. I'm going to go to reduce cooldown, and I'm just going to build. Normally you would want teleport glyph and shell, or teleport glyph and sprint, or even a curse. Those three are really the best options. If you notice in the best of 3 set in the third game, I got blink because I was so far ahead, and I was very selfish in doing so and regretted it as soon as the next couple team fights happened, because the shell could have saved myself or my teammates. But for now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab these two. That way I can go back and forth to the cooldown thing as fast as possible. Alright, so the first bot we're going to test this on is the Guan Yu bot. The reason for this is Guan Yu has warrior stats would have the maximum protections for a assassin, mage, or squishy, assuming that Guan Yu built no protection items. So we're gonna show you how that works. Alright, so he got down to half health. And I know that abilities are on reduced cooldown, but he got down to half health as, we'll just call it an assassin, from a 2-1 ult combo and the ult that came back. And don't forget all those auto attacks there. Alright. So we're going to do the math. Actually, I should kill this guy real quick. Alright. So Guan Yu's health should be about 2,300 base health. So it'll be 2,300 plus about 70 of each prots. Alright, so he got down to about 40% of his health bar. So 40% of 2,400 would be roughly 1,200, or less than 1,200, about 900 damage. So if you can do that with Hercules against a carry or a mage or an assassin, then they're pretty much done with the fight, or they're about to die to an Agni Bomb or die to a crit or a Kins. And you get to do that every 11.2 seconds without the blue buffs. Remember, this is about 9.8, I think it said. Either way. So now that we've covered that, now that I've covered the build that I ran on that day, it was against a Sobek, keep in mind. So Sobek has healing, he's a guardian, so you want to build against that first. And then, oh, I'm trolling. I think I am with that brand. So after I saw the boots for this and Masamune, or whatever other item, I would have 475 base movement speed. So the next part I want to cover, actually, hold on before I do that. Let me explain how I would do against the warrior solo. So against the warrior solo, you're doing your normal warriors blessing, health chalice, 3, 4, 5 health pots with that. First thing you're going to do is either going to be Warrior Tabai or Talaria. If you feel you're going to get invaded quite a bit, go Talaria. And if you don't, just pick Warrior Tabai, it's fine. This meta, have been building this anyway so I can chase squishies and make their life a living hell. So I do this into Breastplate of Valor if I'm playing against a physical character. If I'm going to need anti-heal at some point, I'm going to build this now, so Pestilence. If not, I'm going to get an Oni. And as an example, we're just going to assume that they don't have healing. Or if you don't want the Oni yet, nothing wrong with the early Spirit Robe. So between these two items, 30% cooldown reduction, 20% CCR, and the mitigation passive. This is huge. People buy this quite a bit for a good reason. 40 of each protection, 2% cooldown, 20% crowd control reduction. But once every 15 seconds, when you're hit by a hard crowd control effect, whether that's a root, stun, knock up, mesmerize, intoxicate, knockback, those kind of hard CCs, you'll take 15% damage mitigation for 3 seconds after you hit with that initial hard crowd control effect. So this helps you mitigate a lot of damage. So if they're just constantly agony bombing you for those 3 seconds, you're only gonna take 85% of those agony bombs. You're not gonna take 100% of what you would have taken. So your normal mitigations through protections plus your 15% on top of that here. And then after that, I'll let you get the void shield so I can have the pin. This is where if I definitely needed an anti-heal, it would have been here or here. But we'll just say they don't, and we have Oni. And then last, finish off the cooldown reduction with Mantle. So right now I have 25-20 health once again, as it was earlier. So this Flake game for the Speed Pot, which I've already got active right now. And then another item, so whether it's going to be a Masamune, whether it's going to be... I'm trying to think of other things right now. That's really honestly it. That's for me. Oh, Wingblade. Or Relic Dagger. Could also be picked up here. If they have 2 or 3 auto attackers, Witchblade never hurts. It also does replace the cooldown reduction in case you want to sell this for something else later, like Anchile or Big Guardian or something. Either way, that's pretty much your options there. So for physical, that's what I do. And against magicals, I just showed you just before that. So now we get to the fun part, and I'm going to go ahead and
not sure that one was regulation.
Get this back together real quick. Runic, and then where's Oni? Oh, no. It'll be Spirit. Okay, so next part is how to use your 2 and 1 effectively and not always using the 2-1 combo. So this is what I do. I don't do this every single day, but on Hercules, the only thing I have on instant cast is his ultimate because you want to be able to use it for CC immunity. In some cases, if you need to, or if you just need to instantly try to kill somebody or clear a wave, you can do that without wasting any extra time. So that's why I have that one on. The 3 is automatically instant. So I just use I use the 2 so I can see what's going on, and I use the 1 for that as well. So that's first things first. Get used to the target area. I try to hit them right at the edge or just almost at the edge. And I know this Odinbot's just gonna walk back and forth, but you can also move and try to hit it while you're moving. You can do it multiple different ways. You could try to do something I like to do and do the old blink knockup. See, I missed that one, and that's unfortunate. Reset cooldown. Matter of fact, let's just go ahead and go ahead and do this. Alright. Just moving around, just trying to catch it. Odin tried to backstep me? What the fuck? Remember, you do not have to let him hit the ground before you stun. But it does DR. That's why it's usually a little bit better to be a little patient. But if you're playing against somebody like Kakalin who can just Salmon flip it, just do that and then instantly go right ahead and push them, because otherwise they'll salmon flip it, which it has immunity frames, kind of like Camelot's 3 on an ability, a leap ability that is able to jump over some things. But yeah, I would do this as long as until you really feel really comfortable about it, and I would do it for X amount of days, however many days it takes you. So the next combo I want to show you, because that's the most common combo, is the auto into stun into auto into 2 into auto. And I know this is an Odin bot, so he's just gonna reset like with only after 1 second of crowd control. But you don't always have to use your 2 to try to knock up. Use it for the damage. The damage on the 2 is 260 plus 35, so 295 base damage. And of course, there's mitigations and things like that. And your stun afterwards is about 430, 440, something like that. So that's one thing that people don't really utilize enough, especially while you're boxing in solo lane. You don't have to use all your shit for CC all the time. Just stun is good enough. Just get all the damage onto them that you can, and really force them to do what you want them to do. So that's another combo people underrate, because there are situations where you want to stun somebody, but you also want to pull them back towards your team. So say that I do pull them back, Ra's ulting, and they just snipe them. They can't do anything during that time frame unless they can beat Aegis in the air, which they would require them to do the beads first to be able to Aegis, if they even have it. Also, I'm glad that just happened, but if you try to stun somebody, if a wall's in the way, they will always hit the wall. They won't go through the wall or to the side. But that's just what I do. I honestly, I don't play Hercules as much as you would think. I don't play a lot of characters as much as you would think. I spend my time playing a lot of different characters all the time because I want to test matchups. I want to be ahead of the meta and know what can be good into what. But that's the 3 combos. So your normal 2-1. Auto stun, auto 2, auto. That 2 is after that 2 is an auto attack cancel, by the way, if you didn't notice. So auto push, auto 2, auto. It's auto attack cancel. So what auto attack cancel is, basically when you auto attack, it does the animation. But when I do the 2, there's no animations to wind up. It just goes straight to the basic attack. So I can explain that real quick. So you've got those 2, then there's the one that's a little more situational. And I like to look down when I want to pull them back, so I make sure I hit that landing area. Then you also want to back up at the same time, just to make sure you can hit the hitbox. Of course, Odinbot just follows the line, so there's not really much I can make him do. He's just turning around because he gets it in. There we go. Let's see if I talked about builds, pathing. I talked about the combos. I talked about the health against squishies. I won't do Ymir because the thing is I don't have items. I just have their base stats. I didn't talk about ability leveling. So you always want to go 1, 4, 2, 3, or sorry, 1, 4, 3, 2 in both situations, unless they have like Circuit and say an Osiris on the same team, where they can just anti-heal you for days. Or if you're playing against an Odin in lane, or somebody that's got a lot of anti-heal, a Cerberus that can take it away, a Sobek Signaling Strike, a Belch of the Gods from Bacchus, things like that. You don't want to level this into, just level your damage and try to kill them as much as you can, and just force pressure down. Also, it is okay to ult the wave if your teleport is down and you really need to back. It's perfectly fine. But just make sure that once you back, you absolutely buy everything right away and you just go straight to lane. Because otherwise, you'll invest a lot of experience and you just wasted your ultimate for no reason. Um, Also, you can start proxying at about level 5 or 6 if you really want to put your lane opponent under a lot of pressure and force them to have to fight a wave. For example, if they're playing something very passive, say like Aphrodite, that's just got buffed and probably going to be played a little bit more in your casual or ranked games. You don't fight Aphrodite because all she's going to do is heal everything back with her lovebirds. That's exactly what she does. If she can do it against an Anubis, she can do it against a warrior. She can do it against an assassin. She can do it against anybody in the game. So I like to start going proxy at 4 minutes, and it really makes her have to just farm lane by herself. She can't really afford a proxy, or she'll be out of position. That's just a scenario like that. I'm trying to think if there's anything else I haven't thought about. Let's do a T2 real quick. This is the T2 tower. I want to show you how many shots I can take just for tanking with this build. So 2,720 health. You have the 293 physical, and the towers do not do magical, so you only are going to see this. Notice the damage keeps rising. 106, 119, 132, 146, 159, 10 shots, 11 shots, 12 shots, 13, 14, 15, 16, and I know this reduced cooldown, but you get the point. You can take about 20 tower shots if you really needed to in any situation, but you really shouldn't have to. And I showed that off a little bit in the game 3 I was referring to earlier. I had walked into the tower, took 4 shots. I took like 100 damage out of the whole thing, and it was kind of like one of those show-off things, like, hey, look, I can walk into your tower and not do damage. It's just a mind game for them. Like, oh god, he can actually walk in here and not take damage and do whatever I want to. But I reset it after the 5th one, because after that it just starts adding on and adding on and adding on, and it's just unnecessary damage you don't have to take. And please, please listen to me when I say this. I see some Hercules players that build Gladiator Shield. And actually, you know what? Let me sell the build real quick. I'll show you why Gladiator Shield is just... It's not worth building Gladiator Shield on Hercules. It's really not. Especially in certain matchups. Like, you could probably get away with it against like a Sobek or a character that really is easy to hit with your abilities, but if you're playing against an Achilles that can combat dodge or a Blunna that can shield bash, you don't want this Glad Shield, because you have to land the abilities onto them if you want to be able to sustain your mana, and it's just a very hard thing to do. Gladiator Shield, so right now, so I'm at level 20 with all that. You know what? Let me change my level too. Let me just go to level 5. This is what it looks like at level 5. I had a single target. I had a single target. I had a single target. Okay, I hit 2 targets. But I used all of my mana, and I didn't get hardly anything back from Glad Shield, because most of these times you're hitting single targets when you're using the 2 and a 1 mainly. They all, sometimes you'll be just ulting the wave for clear, and that way you can proxy, or that way you can still back camps, or that way you can back and buy an item and get back to lane without losing experience. But I used 3 abilities there, and I lost half of my mana pool. Not worth it against really any character, in my opinion. And that's why I like to go Talaria or Warrior Tagline instead, because you're not getting any real use out of the Gladiator Shield. That's why I still build Breastplate of Valor for the cooldown reduction and the mana and MP5. So even when I hit 2 people here, okay, let me get my ult back. I'm gonna hit 2 people both times. Hit 3 people with the ult. I still had 200 mana out of my 360 mana. And if I got Glad Shield now, I just backed, and I just spent all that to not kill somebody. Which, let's go to show you that on a Guan Yu bot. Glad Shield you want to use on characters like Chalk that can hit multiple people with his axe, multiple people with his torrent. You don't really want to necessarily use that in lane. You'd rather want to do the same thing like you're doing with Hercules. But he has a better argument for it because the ult can hit like 4 or 5 people at the same time if they're grouped up. You would rather see Glad Shield on Sun Wukong, Cullen, Arthur. Obviously is the abuser of the item right now because he has 8 abilities that proc it. So a full ability rotation on an Arthur, you would go your 6 normal abilities and an ultimate, so you get 16.5% of your mana and health back. Anyway. So you might come back to lane to this and you might kill them. Likely you won't, and you're just back. But the thing is, you likely won't if they have, and if they haven't used their teleport yet, you just wasted your time because they're just gonna come back to lane. You have half your mana, they have all of their mana, and they have their item now. If they don't have teleport, then it's worth if you got all the damage off because they have to start using their pots and they start having to play conservative, and that's when you just zone them at the creep wave. So what you do at the creep wave, there's a couple things. They're going to want to sit under tower. So you just kind of stand it up here, being a bully, being like you can't walk here. You want to look around every couple seconds. Make sure you can try to get a last hit on the minion that's getting aggroed the most by the minions, like this one. I missed. Like that, so you get the 25 gold instead of the 17, and that works for every archer, or every melee and archer, so I should be able to get... I missed it. This time, I'm usually better about this than lane. This sucks. 18. So for the melees, I'll get 25. For the archers, I'll get 18. So you'll get 54 gold from archers, and you will get... Actually, I think the 25 might just be the brute minion. Hold on. These are normal waves. So 25 3 times, so 75 and 54. So you're gaining... Sorry, you're getting 129 gold if you can last hit everything. Likely you'll get 3 or 4 of them instead. So you will probably get more closer to the 100. Just to keep that in mind, you get more golden experience out of a wave than you do anything else as far as like back harpies or blue buff goes. So also something to think about. I think that's all that I want to cover. If you guys think of anything that I have missed, please feel free to ask me in the comment section or DM me on Discord, at me on a Discord channel. I just Twitter, whatever. If you can get a hold to me, I'll answer any questions that I can think of. Other than that, thank you for stopping by and watching this guide on the Soloian Hercules. Have a fantastic day.